south side.
We'll call the meeting to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Yes, I will. Jeff?
Excused?
Cindy?
Here.
Bob?
Here.
Nancy?
Excused?
Kurt?
Excused.
Eric?
Here.
Jay?
Here.
All right. And if you would please rise for the voluntary Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. I need a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Those are approved. Amendment and approval of the meeting agenda. I need a motion to approve the meeting agenda.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve today's meeting agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All righty. Moving on to public hearings. We have a public hearing on Ordinance 2017-11, an ordinance of the Petersburg Borough adjusting the FY 2018 budget. Am I reading the right agenda?
No.
No, ma'am, you're not.
The wrong thing popped up, and I apologize for that. There we go. Bid award.
There we go.
And actually, the next thing was public hearings, and there are no public hearings. Next item on the agenda is bid award. And this item is for the 2014 is the item title, and 1,500 tons of winter sand bid award. Public Works Director Hagerman is recommending award of the 1,500-ton winter sand bid to Rock and Road Construction for an amount not to exceed $55,500. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move. Second.
It's been moved by Member Lynn, seconded by Member Stanton Greger that we approve this bid award. Is there any discussion?
I just wanted to briefly comment that I'm glad we had a local contractor interested. I saw that a contractor out of Haynes had bid and had a competitive bid. It's just always better when we can have money stay local. So I'm glad this worked out.
Agreed. Anything else? All right. Will the clerk call the roll?
Eric?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
And that bid award is approved. Next item on the agenda is visitors' views related to the agenda. Is there anyone who wants to speak to an item on the agenda? Seeing none, moving on to visitors' views unrelated to the agenda. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to an item not on today's agenda? And moving on, as there are none, there are no board, commission, or committee reports filed. And the next item is the consent agenda. We have approval of a 5-year lease rate adjustment for piston and rudder service. And this is Piston and Rudder Service, Inc. leases land from the borough for their facilities at an annual rate of 10% of the assessed value of the property. The lease agreement provides the annual rental rate shall be subject to adjustment at each 5th year anniversary and shall be determined by the new current assessed value of the demised premises and any improvements owned by the borough. The 2015 assessed value of the leased property is $146,400, making the adjusted annual rent rate $14,640 for July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2017. This is an increase from the 2012 assessed value of $103,300. And are there any objections to this item? All right. As it's a consent agenda item, it is approved. And the next item on the agenda is report of other officers, and there are none filed. Moving on to the mayor's report. It's taken a minute to pull up here. . 'Cause There we go. The Borough is seeking letters of interest from Petersburg residents willing to serve our community by filling one vacant seat on the hospital board until the October 2017 municipal election. Letters of interest may be addressed to the Borough Clerk and emailed to dthompson@petersburgak.gov, mailed to P.O. Box 329, Petersburg, AK 99833, or dropped off at the Borough Administration Office at 12 South Nordic Drive. The next item is Historic Preservation Commission. The Borough is seeking letters of interest for 3 vacant seats on the Historic Preservation Commission. Seat 1 is reserved for an archaeologist or an at-large member, and the term of this seat ends 12/31/2017. Seat 2 is reserved for an assembly member with a term ending 12/31/2019, and Seat 3 is reserved for a planning commissioner with a term ending 12/31/2018. Letters of interest may be submitted to the Borough Clerk as outlined earlier in this report. Municipal elections. Election day is October 3rd. Individuals who wish to run for available seats may file for candidacy until 5 p.m. tomorrow, August 22nd. Please contact the clerk's office for more information. And the last day to register for vote for this election is September 3rd. Voter registration forms are available at the front desk of the borough offices. And I would urge people to please consider participating either in running for office for assembly or for any of the boards and commissions that we have. We have a lot of open seats. It's your way to be represented in your local government. So please encourage folks to do that. The Assembly and Hospital Board work session. The Assembly and Hospital Board have scheduled a joint work session to be held in Assembly Chambers on Wednesday, August 23rd, 2017 at 10 a.m. And then I attended the Alaska Municipal League Summer Legislative Conference and the Conference of Mayors this past week in Haines. And there were a couple things that I wanted to share. There were many things on the agenda, but I will share a couple items. I did talk to Governor Walker, and he is hoping to make it to Petersburg to sign our borough land selection bill sometime in the next few weeks, and we're doing some coordination of schedule with him. He did say he would be available for a public reception if he is able to make a date to come down here, and also would like to stay overnight. We're going to try and tour him around to see a few of the projects proposed and ongoing in the community, and he sounded very receptive to that. Excuse me. A National League of Cities representative gave an update on the federal mission to implement a high-speed broadband nationwide wireless network dedicated to public safety, especially needed during large events or disasters. And you may have heard about this. It's called FirstNet, and ATT, I believe, is the entity that is developing it. While this presents some opportunities for us because it can be preempted for first responders, and when there's extra bandwidth, that would provide some extra bandwidth that could be sold to the communities, but it's a system that will become dedicated to first responders in the event of an emergency. But it also seems to establish a communications monopoly across the United States. And so some of the mayors around the state have concerns about subscriber costs because it sounds like every point of our contact with that system will incur a monthly fee, and we have no idea what those fees would be or how that structure would change over time. The state must opt into this system, or they must develop their own Alaska system, which the governor has said we probably can't afford to do. There are some safety adoption targets, and if we don't conform to those targets, there would be financial penalties for noncompliance. So that's an issue you may hear more about in the future. The state budget and the need to raise revenues was a major topic of discussion throughout the week. Fred Parody of DCCED outlined the state's fiscal situation. State revenues have declined by 80%, and the state has been in a deficit since 2013. Since 2013, the state budget has also been reduced by 44%. Our state credit rating is now lower than all states except for Illinois and New Jersey. Flat budgets mean we are eating the cost of inflation. So even though it looks like we're holding the line, we're actually losing ground. To date, however, the legislature has failed to pass any bills to address revenue generation necessary to rebuild state coffers. And we talked a lot about how to address that. AML has formed a subcommittee, and they're hoping to develop a strategy to keep pressure on the legislature to make some more proactive steps towards addressing our fiscal issues and in a more timely fashion. We've, as the governor said, we've watched $14 billion slip through our fingers while we've been talking about this fiscal crisis, and we really need to do something now. And then there was a lot of discussion about the Uber bill, which I confess I had not paid a lot of attention to, as well as its potential to create some cascading impacts for taxation. The bill took away the ability to manage these operators locally, and there's no mechanism for knowing if they're collecting and paying sales tax, and that is the primary issue with those, with that bill. And it has some implications for other things as well. Airbnb was another thing that was brought up, but so interesting discussion, and I'm sure we'll hear more about that. And then the final item is appreciation goes out to D&D Tree Service, Don Stevens Jr. and Sr., and Clearwater Cutting, George Rice, and Power and Light employees Sam Collin and Bob Zinke for their hard work in clearing trees from the path of the pipeline that supplies Crystal Lake water to the hydro at the bottom of the mountain. Crystal Lake Mountain is steep, and the clearing was very labor-intensive, and we do thank you for your efforts. And moving on, there is no unfinished, well, there's no manager's report. He is on vacation at this time. And there is no unfinished business to deal with, so we will move on to new business. And we have Resolution 2017-16, a resolution vacating a 20-foot utility easement on Lot NA, the Jensen Norris subdivision, Plat 2017-10, located at 1001 Sandy Beach Road. Chris Norris, owner of property at 1001 Sandy Beach Road, filed an application for vacation of a utility easement on the lot. The Planning Commission recommends approval of the vacation. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Member Stanton Greger, seconded by Member Castro, that we approve Resolution 2017-16. Is there any discussion? Yes?
I did have a question as what Lot NA was. I'm looking at the property map viewer right now, and I can see N, which is Chris Norris's, and then property 10, which is the one that was purchased by Carol and Chris together.
Yeah.
I was just curious as to what Lot NA was. Does he have a... It's just...
Should be attached to the resolution
Oh,
in
yeah.
your, so it probably changed when they redrew the lines.
So that was the easement that was put in there beforehand. Okay, so we're
Yes.
vacating that. So,
Any other discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk call the roll?
Cindy?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Eric?
yes.
Bob?
Yes.
And that resolution is approved for vacating the 20-foot utility easement on Lot NA, Plat 2017-10 at 1001 Sandy Beach Road. The next item on our agenda is communications. Does anyone have any communications to report? Very quiet meeting. And the next item is assembly discussion items. And the first item is recognitions. Does anyone have any recognitions? Go ahead, Jay.
It's more of my general reminder as far as participating in the democratic process. A reminder to the public that on Wednesday at 10 a.m. there is the joint hospital and assembly meeting. I encourage any members of the public who have opinions, thoughts, questions, to attend the meeting. Our local hospital is a critical piece of community infrastructure, and I know from my perspective I'd like to hear from as many people as possible as far as how to move forward towards either a newer building, remodeled building, either way, a long-term solution to our hospital needs. So, and if you can't attend, feel free to email us questions beforehand that we can ask for you. I'd be glad to. Otherwise, hope to see people 10 a.m. Wednesday. Thanks.
Sounds good. Anyone else? And I have one that I probably should have put in the mayor's report. I had the opportunity to meet Lisa von Bargen, who is the new borough, or the manager for the city of Wrangell. And she is, seems like she'll be a real good hand. Also very interested in doing collaborative and cooperative work between the two communities, so I'm looking forward to working with her. I really enjoyed talking to her. And then I also wanted to thank Desi Burrell for organizing once again the Petersburg participants in Wrangell's Rally for the Cure. The paper had a nice article on how much money was collected and all the participants, and you may have seen some of the fun pictures online of that event. It's always a good fellowship event. Petersburg participants, and I attribute this to Desi's organization efforts, always outnumber the Wrangell participants, so that's kind of a fun thing. All right. And if there are no other recognitions, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Your record meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn today's meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.
17 minutes.